Hi, this is Zak Mir with the US Chartbreakers here at Zak's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 6th of April. Things winding down for ahead of Easter, but we still have the rising 50-200-day moving averages there for the S&P. We've held above the broken November resistance line, which is great, and holding, I suppose, well above the 50-day line. Old resistance there from the early March period around 40.70, 40.80, holding still, and really above that, we're looking for a retest of 4,200, perhaps as soon as the end of this month. Best case scenario target for the end of next month, if everything pans out, would be up to 43.20, and that September resistance line projection. On the downside, probably not looking for anything worse than the 200-day line, 39.40, but ideally we don't go back below that 40.80 area. Moving on to the stocks, and first one is Baxter's, and here you can see, or Baxter rather, Baxter International. Here you can see that we've had a break of the 50-day moving average and also a bounce off RSI 50. So this time it looks as though the shares will follow through, unlike back in November and October. But at least here, while we're above the 50-day line around 41.25, looking for as high as $50 by the end of this month as a best case scenario target. Obviously, if you are more cautious, you might be just looking for the top of the last gap down around $45 and be happy with that. But banking on that RSI 50 rebound, giving us a decent push to the upside. In fact, we've already had bullish divergence with the lower lows for March, but higher RSI trace. So that is a double reason for thinking that the upside there will be greater rather than smaller. The next situation is what coming up very shortly. We've got the Barfresh food group, and here you can see that we've got this. We had a great spike over the last couple of days towards the top of that rising trend channel from November, currently pointing to $2.50. Got the 200-day moving average there around $2.60, so that's the target. Hopefully over the next week or two. The RSI off the chart, so well above the the overbought level, and the 70 overbought level. But at the moment, at least while we're above the last resistance on the shares before the big breakout around $1.70, we're looking for $2.50, so near term. Moving on to a stock which is also of interest from a charting perspective. We broke a line of resistance there on Nuburu yesterday. Came back a bit, so a bit disappointing with that bull trap through the 50-day moving average. Probably the best way of playing this now would be to wait for an end-of-day close through the $4.70 area, which was resistance on the way down, and then hope that that would be the trigger for a move towards $8 plus, maybe by the end of next month. On the downside, if we can't get back above the $4.70 area, then probably testing the last low on the way down towards 320 would be the scenario we're looking at. But we do have bullish divergence there, so it may be that the poor close yesterday was just a hiccup, and in fact a chance of buying the pullback from the $6 plus peaks that we had. In fact, nearly $7 on that. Moving along to Eloxx, which is looking very healthy indeed. We've broken above the 50-day moving average, broken a line of resistance there from November around $3.60. Above that, we're looking for as high as $8 by the end of next month, which is the top of a broadening triangle from back in December. Only back below the 50-day line really suggests that we have to make fresh attempts at finding support, but we already had higher April, or rather March-April support for the shares versus the start of the year. On to stock, which I think is probably the hottest one at the moment, InflaRx. Here we've got the shares overshooting the runway with the old target there up to $5.25. Above that, we're looking for a retest of yesterday's resistance towards $7, hopefully over the next week or so. But obviously, the shares have really gone up a long way in a very short time. So, in terms of the stop loss here, really, it would be below $5.20. Would be worried that the situation here had peaked. Moving on to a stock which I don't think has appeared here before, but it's always good to have newcomers. limited, and in this situation, it's basically looking for a trend line break with the and also a bear trap rebound. So more of a double bottom here, but above the $6 area, looking for the shares to retest at least the mid-March resistance, neckline resistance there on a possible W-shaped reversal around $8.20. Hopefully that can happen by the end of this month. Great bullish divergence there, and that's really the reason for highlighting the situation over and above that trend line break that we've narrowly achieved. Moving on to the last two stocks of the day. The first one, Omega Therapeutics, and here we bounced off the rising 200-day moving average, closing above the 50-day moving average around $6.17. Above that, we're looking for a retest at least of last month's resistance around $9.80, hopefully by the end of this month. Stop loss here, really, an end of day close back below the 50-day line, or if you can afford it, the $6 area, which is logically recent support. Finishing off with Scilex, and here you can see that we've had another of these spurts through the 50 and 200-day moving averages. The view now is that above the last resistance, with the initial February resistance around $10.80, we're looking for a retest of the $16 area, the top of that rising trend channel from back in November. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.